Hello and welcome to part 9 of the Backrooms Game Lab. In the previous part, we looked into making jump scares for a game, but in this part we're going to create level changing and a game ending. Before we get into it though, I do want to say big thanks. We just crossed 3,000 subscribers. That's a pretty big milestone in my eyes, at least. I don't really say it a lot on the channel because I don't like just shoving it into people's faces. But no, please feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. I definitely appreciate your support on the channel in the ways that you can support it. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just expand my map a little bit. And if I come out here to the area that I made my first jump scare for the game, I'm going to make this hallway a little bit longer. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this wall. I'm going to reverse it. I'm also going to turn off my lighting so I can better see my map. There we go. It's so much better to see now. So I'm going to bring this all the way around that way and then bring it over here. I do apologize if it's hard to see right now, but your map is different than mine anyway. So yeah, definitely just find some good spot of your map. And this is going to be where the end of your level is. All right, this is the end of your level. So I'm going to make another wall and bring it like this, and then I can put a door right there. But no, this is going to be the end of your level. So I do recommend making your level way bigger than my level. The reason I made mine so small is because this is a tutorial, so it doesn't really matter how big mine is. But for your real game, you should definitely make yours bigger. All right, so I'm also going to bring my light over in this direction just to make it a little bit brighter, a little bit easier to see the door that I'm eventually going to put back at that back wall over there. So here we go. I'm gonna put this right here, and yeah, that's a decent, it's incredibly bright, so I'm going to bring down the brightness. So I'm going to click this light emission right here, and I'm going to bring down the intensity so that it's not so freaking bright. All right, there we go. I think that's decent. Now I don't need this green light anymore because we added that light in. So there we go. All right. So what we want to do once you finish, please feel free to pause the tutorial. But yeah, what we want to do right when you finish getting your ending area complete is we want to put a door right here. So to get a door, all I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that door that we originally put into our game. So I'm going to go ahead and come over to the door here. I'm going to click door 1 or 2 or 3, whatever it is in your scene. It's just a door. And I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it by pressing Command or Control D. And now I can drag it around and you can see it's a different door. So if I go ahead and bring this over to the wall over here, that we just created, or at least I just created, and I'm going to rotate it to face the outside like that. And now what I can do is make this maybe a little bit like that. And I can't really, oh, there we go. Oh, it perfectly fits, almost as if I planned that out. All right, so there's the exit. Now, I do recommend going to the asset store to get some kind of exit sign and putting that up there somewhere. I did see a few exit signs on the asset store last time I looked around there, but I didn't want to make this tutorial too complicated, so we're not going to be importing any exit signs. However, because I'm not going to put any exit sign right here, I want to make sure I know that this is the exit door by coming into the hierarchy, pressing enter, and renaming it to say exit door. So now we know for sure that this is going to be our exit door. And currently inside of our exit door, we have this thing in here called the door trigger. Now this is what was managing our other door. And it's a good collider right here. We don't need to delete it. But what we do need to do is get rid of this script right here called the key door by right clicking on it right here and pressing remove component, because it's not a key door, it is the exit door. Now this is going to be our hitbox. So I'm going to go ahead and come over here and I'm going to rename this to say hitbox. And my plan for this is as soon as the player touches the door, just a little like UI will pop up on the screen saying you won the level, go to the next level, or go to the previous or go to the main menu. And that's going to be it. So I'm going to go ahead and also turn on is trigger right here to make sure that this is a trigger, and when the player runs into it, they will get the UI that shows up. So that should be everything for this door right here. Now the next thing we need to do before we can start our scripting for the door is we need to come up to our main canvas. So I'm going to click the main canvas, I'm going to press F, and then I'm going to press 2. And now we can see that we have our main canvas right here. So if I come in here, you can see that we have our normal crosshair, our hover crosshair, but now we want to have some kind of exit UI that can show up, and as soon as it shows up, a black thing completely takes up the screen that hides the view, and a whole bunch of other stuff just pops up. Of course, because that would be the U1 screen. So what I'm going to do to get this U1 screen is I'm going to right click the main canvas, go down to UI, and click raw image. And if you can't see the UI, it's because you have the layers, the UI layers off. So make sure to come up here to layers and turn on UI. I don't know why you would have that off, but in case you did, that's how you would fix that. And I am going to drag this down here so that we can see what we're doing at the same time as we're doing it. So there we go. So to make this black, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to change the color to be black. And now I'm going to come up to the top right here in the rect transform, and I'm going to click this. Then I'm going to come over to this at the very bottom right, and I'm going to hold Option or Alt, and then I'm going to click it again. Now you can see that it fully takes up the screen, and it automatically did that for us. Next, I'm going to rename this raw image to be called the Win UI, because this is going to pop up when we win. And I'm going to right click it again, come to UI, and then press Text from the Text Mesh Pro. And now we see that we have a new text on our screen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to center this by coming down to the Text Mesh Pro component, going down to Alignment, and then pressing Center right here and Center right there. So now it's centered. And I'm going to rename this text to say Level Completed. As you can see, it goes down a little bit, and that's kind of choppy. At least I don't like that. So what I'm going to do to fix that is I'm going to come down to Wrapping at the very bottom right here, and I'm going to change it from Enabled to Disabled. Now you can see it just goes perfectly straight. And it also means that when I change the font size, I can change it to be however big I want, and there won't be any weird problems that show up. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this up by pressing W and just dragging it up like that. And if you want to, you can create another text right here by just duplicating this. And then I can rename this text to say Level 0. And I'll drag it down a little bit. I'll make it smaller. And all I have to do is just come to the vertex color and change down the color a little bit to make it a little bit more gray. And now it says I completed Level 0. Next, I want to have a few buttons on screen. One button that says Next Level, and one button that says Main Menu. So to get these, I'm going to right click on my Win UI, go to UI at the bottom, and then go to Button. Now we have a button right here, and I can scale it up by pressing R and then just scaling it up. And then I'm also going to do something that I don't think a lot of people do on YouTube for some reason, but if you click button right here, go to the image, and you see something here that says Source Image. If you just click this and get rid of it, it gets rid of that weird like roundy bits right there, which makes the button look a lot more professional and less, I don't know, it looks weird with those weird, here's with the rounded parts, here's without it. It looks less choppy, but you can feel free to include those if you want them. I don't like them though, so I'm going to get rid of them. So what I'm going to do is rename this button text to say Next Level. And I'm also going to rename the button to say Next Level Button. Now I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. I'm going to bring it down a little bit, and I'm going to rename this button to say Main Menu Button. And I'll rename what the text is saying to say Main Menu, or actually we can just say Quit. Now because we have two buttons on here, something that a lot of companies do is they would make one button stand out more than the other, because we want them to go to the next level. We don't want them to quit. So to achieve this effect, all we have to do is make the quit button less bright than the next level button. So I'm going to come over to the color. I'm going to go down to the opacity, or aka the alpha. It's the A because it means alpha. And I'm going to go ahead and drag this down to a lesser color. So maybe like 50 something right there for the alpha. All right, so that makes the quit button less visible. It makes them like, oh, do I really want to press that button? If you even wanted to, you can make that smaller, bring it up a bit. Now you have a next level quit button, and it's pretty nifty. So the last thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to click both of them by pressing one and then pressing Control or Command and clicking the other. And I'm going to go down to navigation and turn it to none. This basically just fixes the UI up a bit to make it less choppy. I'm also going to change the fade duration to 0. I'm going to change the highlighted color to be dark, like that. And I'm going to change the press color to also be dark. All right, now that we have all of this set up, let's do one last thing. And this last thing I'm going to do here is just create a little bit of an animation. And I know some of you might hate animations, but trust me, this is going to look really good. So what I'm going to do first is just come over to my animations folder, and I'm going to click on my WinUI. And I'm going to come over to my add component right here on the WinUI, and I'm going to type in animation. Next, if I go ahead and press create, I'm going to rename this animation to be called the, let's call this the Win animation. All right, there we go, the Win animation. I don't ever know what to call my animations. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this first frame have no color at all. So basically just 0 alpha, completely transparent. And I'm going to make my first second on the 60 seconds mark. I'm going to have it maximum alpha, so 255 on the alpha. So now if I go ahead and press play, you can see that it slowly fades in. I don't like how slow it is though, so I'm going to go ahead and drag this over to be maybe at the 20th frame instead of the first second mark. And now if I press play, you can see that it slowly gets darker in an effect that I kind of like. The last thing that I'm going to do, this part is completely optional because it's a little bit more difficult, but I'm going to go ahead and select everything in my WinUI, and I'm going to bring them up like all the way up to the top to the point that the player can't see it anymore. Now you see that 4 items are made here. You see all these 4 items are made here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring these out. And then I'm going to bring the ones at what used to be the end to the beginning. And I'm going to bring the ones at the very end right up to the final frame right there. And now as you can see, all of our UI comes down onto our screen just like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my 2 text objects right here come down later, just because I think that would make it look even better. And as you can see now, yeah, it looks pretty decent. All right, so that's going to be my WinUI animation. So I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. I'm going to go ahead and press pause. And if I go ahead and save my game just to make sure that I don't lose my data, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to find our Win animation. And I'm going to click the WinUI again. And I will drag our Win animation over to the animation right inside of the inspector. Next, I'm going to click the Win animation and change the wrap mode to be on once. And if I save the game again, we are completely done with our Win UI and our Win animation for now. Next, we have to do some coding, and luckily it's actually going to be probably the easiest bit of coding that we've done yet. All we need to do is just create something to respond to the trigger, and then we just have to create something to change the scene, and then we should be pretty much through. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this game tab back up so we can see our assets tab down here. And I'm going to right click inside of my scripts folder, come up to create, and go to C# script. And I'm going to name this script the exit door trigger. All right, I'm going to double click this so that it opens inside of Visual Studio. All right. Now all we need to do inside of this is pretty simple, literally pretty simple. I'm just going to first go ahead and delete all of those basic lines of code that Unity puts in there for you because we won't be needing them. Now let's go ahead and say using TM Pro at the top for Text Mesh Pro. And I want to go ahead and come into my script here, and if I make it bigger so you can see it, I'm going to say public game object Win UI. Next, I want to create a reference over to my level text. So I'm going to say public text mesh pro UGUI, and this is going to be the level text. Finally, I want to go ahead and say public, let's make a on trigger enter on trigger enter, and I want to go ahead and say inside of this method, this dot get component box collider dot enabled equals false. That will stop the player from stops the player from using the exit twice. Now we want to actually disable our player. And to do this, I need to import the standard assets to get to the first person player. So to do this, I'm going to say using standard Unity standard assets dot characters dot first person. And we want to find object of type first person controller, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, dot enabled equals false. So this will stop the player from moving. And if you aren't using the Unity standard assets characters dot first person, you will have to import some other way of turning off your first person controller to make them not able to move. Next, you may have seen it, you weren't able to move your cursor inside of play mode, even if you tried to click on the buttons on your UI. So to fix this, I'm just going to go ahead and say cursor dot visible equals true. So that will make our cursor visible. Next, I want to go ahead and say cursor dot lock state equals none. So this will fix our cursor, I guess it's fix the cursor, so that the player can move to press the buttons, basically. All right, so, and the last thing we need to do now that all of these prerequisites are complete is we need to just activate our WinUI. So let's just do this by saying WinUI dot set active equals true. And this just shows the WinUI on the screen. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. We actually do want to add one more method in here. And this method simply just says private void updates. And what we want to do in here is simply make the level text actually say the name of the scene that we're inside of. So to actually be able to see what scene we're inside of, we're going to have to import our scene, our Unity scene manager library. So to do this, I'm going to say using Unity engine dot scene manager. And I'm going to come over to the update method now, and I'm going to say level text dot text equals scene manager dot get active scene open parenthesis close parenthesis dot name, and that's going to just set the level text to the scene name. So basically, this saves us a step, so we don't have to do this manually. If it is level 0, then it will basically load level 1, level 2, and level 3, and dot dot dot. Next, before we can actually implement that trigger into our game, there's one more script that we need to create that will allow these two buttons to work, and will allow all of our buttons to work in the main menu in the next video. So to do this, all we need to do is just right click in here, go to create, go to C# script, and name this script the level changer. Now if I go ahead and double click that to open it inside of Visual Studio, what I want to do is just go ahead and remove all of this. And I want to come up to the top first and say using Unity engine dot scene management. And next I want to come into here, and we only need one method to do this, and it's only one line of code. So all we have to do is say public void change scene, and I want to say string scene name as the parameter. Next, I want to open a open curly bracket and press enter, and we should be able to just say scene manager dot change scene scene manager dot load scene scene name, and then a semicolon at the end. And this will just change the scene to scene name. All right. So that will be pretty easy to implement into our game, and it is all the scripting that we need to do in this video in order to be done with the level changing. All right, so now let's make some implementation. So what I want to do is I want to click the next level button, and I want to click the main menu button. I want to come down and press add component, and I want to add the level changer component. Next, if I just go ahead and press plus on their button component, I can drag the level changer script into here. And then I can press no function, go to level changer, and then go to change scene. So I'm going to click on one of these now, and I'm going to come into the on click method, and I'm going to say level 1. And I put this to be level 1 since the current level is level 0. Next, I want to come to the main menu button, and I want to change this to say main menu. So this will take us to the main menu scene that has to be called main menu. And we'll worry about that next video. All right, so level, this is make sure to change this every single time you make a new level. The level text you don't have to change because this will be automatic, but, and I can go ahead and get rid of that. But the next level button, you will have to change this value because it will not be automatic and you'll have to do it yourself. There are ways to make it automatic, but this is a beginner level tutorial and I don't want to show you things that are like quantum dynamics just to get to the next level automatically. We don't need to do that. So next I'm going to go ahead and turn off this WinUI, and I'm going to come into my scene tab, and I'm going to get out of 2D mode by just pressing 2D right there. And I'm going to come over to my exit door by just clicking exit door in the hierarchy and pressing F. Boom, magic, we have zoomed in automatically like that. And now all we have to do is just come into the exit door, go to the hitbox, add a component, and I'm going to add the exit door trigger component onto it. I will assign the WinUI by dragging the WinUI in the hierarchy over to the WinUI in the inspector, and the level text in the hierarchy over to the level text in the inspector. And now, believe it or not, everything should be done. There's probably something that's not going to work for some reason, but let's go ahead and come into our game and test it out anyway, because we don't really have to worry about it until we get to it. So let's see. As soon as our game is done compiling, we are put into the Backrooms. Once again, we have our flashlight. Oh my gosh, this flashlight. All right. We have the key right there, which we can use to unlock the door if we really wanted to. And now if we come over here, we have our jump scare from the previous tutorial and our door. So if I walk into this, you see that we have completed level 0. Our UI comes on the screen and we can do stuff with it. So currently, if we press this, you'll see that we don't have level 1 because it hasn't been added to the build assets, the build settings. And if we press quit, you can see that we can't go to the main menu because it hasn't been added to the build settings. Now, to get level 1, you may have already made it. If you made it, props to you. If you haven't made it, that's okay too. But we're gonna have to add this so that it can be registered. And to do this, all I'm gonna do is just click level 0. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to duplicate level 0, and now it is called level 1. Now I want to add this level 1 to my build settings so that we can actually go to the scene. So to do this, I need to come to the top, go to File, go to Build Settings, and you'll see a new tab here will pop up. It's super big. All we need to do is drag level 0 in here, and we need to drag level 1 in here, and that will conclude level changing. So just to make it really clear that we're going to a new level, I'm going to hop into level 1 right now. You can make your level 1 different than my level 1, of course. Please actually make your level 1 so much more different. But I'm just going to come and get rid of all my light emission because maybe I want this level to be scarier, harder. If it's a maze every single level, I want my maze to be harder. Now you see we are in the Backrooms, a dark mode. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all my lights as well from the ceiling. I'm going to delete my flickering lights. And okay, I'm going to delete my light bulb sound since there's no lights anyway. And all right, here's level 1. So that's pretty ominous. If I come into level 0 now and I go ahead and complete level 0, we should see that we're able to go into level 1, and level 1 is incredibly dark and it's clearly different than our familiar, nostalgic level 1 of the Backrooms. So let's see, I'm in the Backrooms. I'm gonna come over to my jump scare area, my exit area. If I come over here, I can press this door, and that says level completed for level 0. Next, if I come over here, we are now in level 1, and it is completely dark. And it's pretty scary if there was some kind of terrifying background to this. We can't open that door because it's locked. We have that jump scare right there. And then we come over here, we touch this door, and we can't because, okay, if we come over here and touch this door, it says level 1 has been completed. So that will just about conclude it. and there's no level 2. And before I can just leave you alone, we need to do one last thing with level 1. I already told you about this, but I don't want you to forget it. Inside of our Win UI, inside of our main canvas and our Win UI in level 1, we see our next level button. If we click next level button, come into the inspector, come down to the button, we see it currently says level 1. We need to change that to level 2 now. But if it's the end, and if this is the last level that you ever complete, if this is the last level of your entire game, you don't want it to say level completed. What you want to say is game completed, or you win, basically. For example, you want to go ahead and get rid of your level name text. You just want to have your quit button as the big button on the screen, and you want to say, instead of saying quit, you just want to say finish, and that will take you to the main menu. This is just a complete example. Please make yours way better than mine. And then, of course, maybe you want to have a credit made by developer Jake, whatever your YouTube channel is. YouTube equals also developer Jake. All right, there you go. So yeah, if this is your last level, then that's gonna be your UI. It's gonna look something like that, and this will just take you to the main menu, since it just is the main menu button with different text. But because this is not my last level, I'm just gonna keep this as level completed, since this is gonna be taking me to level 2. And all right, I probably just confused a bunch of you. I hope I didn't. I hope you stayed with me there. But yeah, that is pretty much how you can create game completion, game ending into your game. And in the next video, which should be going up pretty soon after this one, it's not like a 3-month gap between the next video and this video, there should be a video called the main menu video, and that is just going to be expanding on this video, and we're going to create a cool main menu. And it's not going to be some trash like 2D main menu. It's going to be a real 3D main menu with a flickering light in the background inside of some dark room, and it's going to be terrifying, and we're going to add in some music, and it's going to be a good time. And yeah, this has been part 9 of the Backrooms Game Lab. Stay tuned for part 10 when it releases, and I have been Developer Jake. We will see you in the next one.